In Iran, it's illegal for me to do this. It's even more illegal for me to then do this and post a photo to social media. But one woman, Mashish Alinejad, is doing just that. She's using social media photos to protest Iran's requirement that all women wear headscarves in public. Will this work? Can social media be used to change the laws in Iran? Today I'm going to show you that social media can only go so far in changing laws. Mashish Alinejad's social media campaign for women's rights has not led to positive change because Iran continues to add new restrictions for women. So before I talk about the subject of my speech, Mashish Alinejad, you need to understand how Iran works. Iran is considered an Islamic republic. The highest ranking government official in this Islamic republic is called the supreme leader. He's a religious leader and he's appointed for life. Before any new laws can be put into an effect in Iran, they're examined by a religious council. These are religious leaders and they check all these new laws to make sure that they're in line with Islamic beliefs and ideas. Remember, this is the exact opposite of how we do things in the United States. Here we do everything possible to keep government and religion totally separated. Like you might have heard the phrase separation of church and state. That is not how they work in Iran. In Iran, government and religion go hand in hand. So now that you understand the role Islam plays in Iran's government, I'm going to talk about Mashish Alinejad and what she's been trying to do, or how she's been trying to change Iranian laws. First, I'm going to explain how she used social media. You guys probably use social media all the time, right? Things like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But my guess is that you are not using social media to protest your government. Mashish Alinejad, the subject of my speech, is using social media to protest things that the Iranian government is doing. Specifically, she's using social media to raise awareness of women's rights or a lack of women's rights in Iran. Alinejad is living in the United States in exile. She can't go back to Iran. And in 2014, she created a Facebook page called My Stealthy Freedom. This Facebook page has gotten more than 1 million likes since 2014. On the My Stealthy Freedom Facebook page, women are encouraged to post photos of themselves without wearing a headscarf in public. Remember, it's illegal to go around in Iran, whether you live there or you're just a tourist, without wearing a headscarf. So she's encouraging women to post pictures of themselves without wearing headscarves to protest the restrictions on women in the country. Her movement, her Facebook page, has been covered by all kinds of famous news organizations, including things like Time Magazine and ABC News, which you might have heard of. So although I've shown you that Alinejad's campaign was very popular, I'm going to give you an example that shows you it hasn't worked to make significant change. So my example comes from a report issued by the United Nations. And the United Nations has said that women in Iran are now worse off than they were before this social media campaign. And one of the reasons that they're worse off is because new laws are constantly being passed and suggested that would further limit women's rights. So for example, new legislation makes it almost impossible for women to have access to birth control. It makes it more difficult for women to get a divorce, and it allows employers to discriminate against women who apply for jobs if they are not married. Finally, one of the new laws that's been proposed or suggested is that it should be illegal for women to even ride a bicycle in public. They're afraid that if a woman rides her bike in public, she won't be able to remain chaste or a virgin. So, as I've demonstrated, although social media can be used to raise awareness of an issue, it doesn't necessarily lead to lasting change. So even though 1 million people liked the My Stealthy Freedom page, the plight of women in Iran has not improved, and their rights, because of the Islamic restrictions that they live under, have become even more limited. So the next time you take a selfie, I want you to think about Iranian women and how their lives are so different from your own.